maybe we have to ask in light of that, police and fire.
Well, I would make them a part of that.
Right.
It's foolish if we do that.
That's just my perspective,
Yeah.
and I felt that those two, it's just a narrow portion, John Broder knows what we're talking about. If that's blocked, there's no way to get in there.
So you guys concur that we should move into the circulation committee for further study and try to get the property owners together and have police and fire
Right.
revisit this?
Right.
So we'll continue this to another city council meeting and have it go to circulation committee. You got that, Mary? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you all. We'll move on to number 4, Angels Camp Business Association Holiday Parade. Adopt Resolution 0835, a resolution approving the holiday parade sponsored annually by the Angels Camp Business Association. Bob and Larry.
Yes.
Good evening.
Good evening. I'm here representing ACPA, Angels Camp Business Association, and we're requesting that the city adopt this resolution 08-35 to hold the 18th annual Christmas parade down Main Street.
Okay. Any questions up here?
I have one. Okay. I'd like to ask you, how did the high school parade go? New route and everything.
Worked very well.
Did it?
Yeah.
That's the same route you guys are going to use?
Yes, it is.
Any other questions?
No, I move that we approve resolution 08-35, approving the parade.
Second.
We don't fool around, boy, we move right along.
Hooray for Santa Claus.
Any other comments?
Christmas shirt. Yeah.
Okay, I have a motion by Councilman Radjo and a second by Councilman Bodine to adopt resolution number 08-35, a resolution approving the holiday parade sponsored annually by the Angels Camp Business Association. Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? Carries 5-0. Move on to number 5. Approval of draft branding development and marketing action plan. Two parts. Adopt branding development and marketing action plan with recommended changes. And I assume we're going to turn this over to Ann. Good evening, Ann.
You have before you the recommendations from the Brand Development Committee that met on September the 26th, and they voted unanimously to recommend that you adopt the draft branding development and marketing action plan that was presented to the City Council on September the 2nd at Utica Park. And we have recommended 8 separate changes that would be then submitted to Destination Development for incorporation in the final plan. There are also a number of typos throughout and some factual errors throughout the plan, which we will be submitting as a separate document. We didn't think that needed City Council.
Okay. Any comments?
I think the second part of the recommendation is that is the naming of a brand leadership team, and you have with you a list of recommended members, all of whom have agreed. There has been one additional name added to that from the list that you have before you, and that is Rosie Sundell, who's the marketing director for the Bear Valley Mountain Resort. And we've just had an acceptance, enthusiastic acceptance from her.
Any comments up here, gentlemen? We'll talk about A now. Adopting the branding development marketing action plan.
I understand. This is all part of that original grant, is that correct? This is the conclusion of that original grant that we hired them to do?
Yes.
Is that right?
Yes.
And nothing else has been solidified as far as what we're gonna pay them to do anything else?
No, as far as I know, no.
Is that right, Jeff?
It's up to you.
satisfied with the changes in there that they've made?
Yes, this was, these were recommended by the members of the brand development team who read the plan thoroughly, and then we discussed it on September the 26th.
I like the way that the additions seem to me to be substantial, they push the future vision, and that's a key, and I think that's been emphasized, that the brand is not real for years. It takes years to establish the credibility of the brand, and you don't want to prematurely advertise the brand when you're unable to actually deliver on the core values, the core commitments of it. But it's creating a vision, and I support that. So I think this is exactly the right thing to do right now. We're after.
The thing, in reading the newspaper article about it, the thing that struck me that over a period of about 3 years, 4-year period, the various recommended steps, there's cost associated with them, and the total is something in the order of magnitude of $700,000, a couple of $100,000 in each of several years. So, like we heard earlier, we are talking about cost implications, and there is definitely a payback on this, but I think the council and the public has to be aware there are costs associated, and as time goes on, we'll be looking at those. And as I read through the recommendations, there were several of them that had reference to using transient occupancy tax revenues, which right now are divvied up in a variety of ways. So I think it's very important that we recognize the cost aspect of it. Otherwise, it's a very, very complete, comprehensive program. Just like we heard earlier, those are important issues that will come to the council. Yeah?
Well, I was gonna address the issue of the $700,000 too. That number just scared me to death. And maybe Tim could explain a little bit how this goes down in increments so that the public would understand. And it's part of that money coming from grants that we're applying for or have applied for. Maybe you can enlighten us.
There's many different opportunities for funding. Some of this could be grant money. In fact, this study itself was grant money. And then follow-on studies or implementations can be funded with grant money. Private sector investment is also going to be very important in this process. So this is not something that is, a government driven project, but this is something that, as the vision is embraced by the community, then everyone is working in a collaborative effort. So resources from the private sector will come into play. Also, there may be other opportunities. For example, our general plan right now calls for redevelopment. And this would be a perfect opportunity to apply some funds from redevelopment to redevelop the downtown, redevelop the vision, redefining the rush, as the logo goes, to bring about the economic vitality that we know that this town is capable of.
Any further comment? Please step forward, state your name and address.
Steve Q, 576 Sausage Place. I just like a clarification. There's been dialogue, and you folks have that whole package in front of you in hand. Is the clarification I'm looking for is the marketing plan going to be mostly directed at the historic district? I heard there was some ambiguity about the other part of town, the north part of town, where Middleton's is and Angels Market. There's been some confusion and dialogue in the public talking about this. So I'm not clear about it. I was either asked the council if they are aware of it or Ann. Is the focus just going to be on the historic district businesses, or is it going to be along the 49 corridor all the way through town?
We'll have Ann answer that after we have the rest of the public comment.
Okay.
Hopefully it'll be satisfactory. Any other public comments? Please step forward and state your name and address.
Lewis, and my husband and I own Glory Hole Sports outside of town. I live outside of the town too, on Red Hill Road. I wanted to address what Mr. Grundy said. He's gone now, but he said there's no place in town to buy anything for camping but Glory Hole Sports. So by me supporting this, I'm in essence saying, bring me in some competition. But I feel so strongly that this is gonna make a difference in the entire community. I'm not downtown, I'm way outside of town. It's so important, it's really gonna benefit in the long run, the entire community. I just kinda wanted to have that on record, because I'm sure there's gonna be some people concerned about the money, but it's money well spent. So,
Thank you very much. Anyone else wish to make, Mr. Darby? Name and address,
My
please.
name's Michael Darby, 1079 Bret Hart Road. I'm concerned about the soul of the city, Angels Camp's identity. Can you hear me? Okay.
Yes.
I'm all for business and bringing in more commerce in that area. I'm not opposed to the area of bringing in development of business for people who want to recreate in the mountains. But what I'm concerned about, there's a group of businessmen that think this is a winning idea. They want to put their money on the line and do that, okay? I think that's fine. But when we take the government, city government of Angels Camp, and change the primary identity of Angels Camp, everybody in Angels Camp, anybody who's a local Angels Camp resident knows that the identity of Angels Camp is wrapped up in the frog and the gold. Okay, so the frog jump, Mark Twain, and it's a gold rush town. I don't want to see the mountain sports identity on top of that. And I think it'd be treacherous for the city council to adopt and support with government money and federal government money a plan that would make that eclipse our identity that we have. In the branding commission, or the paper, whatever that is, the plan, there were some quotes like, Angels Camp clearly doesn't have anything of unique interest that would bring people to the town. And that's just like, who are they trying to kid, you know? I see a lot of European visitors constantly. I've been downtown for a month now trying to open up my own shop. And so I'm watching it, and anytime, look up and you'll see people walking on the sidewalks reading the little plaques about the frogs. I think the mountain sports, this push to sell mountain sports equipment to people who are coming out to play in the mountains, is lost my train of thought here. It's a portion of the commerce that we could get. We could do that. I'm just concerned about that image. When people drive into town, if we build these city gates, like some of the suggestions in the plan call for, we build gates to the entrance of the city. I don't want to see pictures of Generation X mountain bikers, kayakers, and mountain climbers on the archway. I want to see the frog and the gold. Another thing that they said was they interviewed the branding commission or the company from Seattle, interviewed children or teenagers and said, do you know anything about the frog jump? Do you know anything about Mark Twain? They said, no, they don't teach it anymore. The reason they don't teach it is because Mark Twain, our local hero and our national hero, his most famous work was Tom Sawyer and Huck Finn. It was banned from public schools in the early 80s because it was politically incorrect I think that's just ridiculous. You know, I think they used the term, I think he wrote nigger, I think he wrote Injun, you know, referring to Indians, American natives, okay?
Michael, I think you're getting pretty far off of the issue of, you made your point as far as you feel that the frog in the gold country is what this was started on, which is absolutely correct. And you are really concerned about that image being changed. But whether, Mark Twain is in our public schools or not, I don't think is an issue at all.
Well,
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So,
All right.
I mean, get
Yeah.
back on track, or
Okay.
let's move on.
Well, yeah, what I'm saying is, okay, the excuse is, well, you know, it's kind of like old, it's irrelevant history. Mark Twain, this frog thing. I'm not saying it's part of our history, okay? It's something to be proud of. Do we know where the biggest gold nugget in the world was found during the gold rush era? Does anybody know? Okay. Now, I've been talking about this a lot lately. A lot of people think that it's the nugget up here at Council is like the world's biggest nugget. His nugget's 44 pounds. It's an amazing thing. The Carson Hill nugget was 175 pounds. Does anybody know where that nugget is today?
I got locked up in both.
Yeah. So here's what I heard. Now, I haven't been able to verify this, but it'd be really cool if it's true. I heard this all growing up from different people, that somehow fell in the hands of different people. It ended up being, gotta confirm this, ended up being given as a gift to the King or Queen of England, and it's now in the crown jewels of England. And
Okay,
so-
again, you're getting way off of the subject, okay? And we need to move on. I mean,
Okay.
you got your point. You're really concerned about changing the image of Angel Camp as it was, and we understand that. And you know what? I totally agree with you. I've been here for a long time, but I honestly think that everything can kind of fit together, and I don't think we're going to probably go out tomorrow and start building big arches with bikes on them. But
okay,
anyway.
now my main point, if I can say this in closing, my main concern is let the businessmen do whatever they want to do, but as soon as we make a marriage between the city government with federal funds to change the identity of our town, I think you need to have a vote from the members of the city. You know, I asked the people of town, do you want your primary image to be that, the gold and the frogs, or do you want it to be this mountain sport identity? See, not against the idea on a business level, but when it gets into the government, then, you know.
Okay, thank you very much. Anyone else wish to make a public comment? Please step forward and, unless you already made one.
Well, I was moved, Steve DePew, 576 Sosslin. Up to this point, I've been very supportive of the branding idea, and I understand what the criteria of the vision is, but I just would like to support the spirit of this young man's presentation, and recognize how deeply he feels about it, and a lot of it is extremely legitimate. And I'm just wondering is, as we go along, sometimes we think we're so smart that we forgot to respect the past. If we can consolidate and hold on to what the city has been from the beginning, and try to merge it with what we're going to try to do for the city 10 years down the line. I commend the spirit.
Thank you. Dan, would you comment on Steve's first question about is the branding going to mix in?
Bob Middleton, 5x7 Live Oak in honor of Middleton's. you know, in the presentation, it's 10, 10, 10. 10 places to eat, 10 places to stay, 10 things to do. Angels Camp Commerce Strip is about 3 miles long, from one end of the town to the other town. Granted, the majority of what this program is for the historical downtown Angels Camp area, not the north end of town. If you build it, they're gonna come. I mean, you know, Angels Food Market's gonna see an increase with the increase of people staying in the community, they're gonna see business. My Hallmark store's gonna see an increase in business. The furniture appliance store, not directly, but indirectly, because more people have more money, the more local people can spend more money in the area. And hopefully some of those people move to the area, and they buy local. But, you know, so my point on the non-concentration part of the north end of town is not that big a deal, because they have to go somewhere, and we're not gonna be able to put 10 hotels downtown Angels. You're not gonna be able to put 10 restaurants in downtown Angels, it's just not gonna work. There's not enough room. So they're gonna have to go through the whole 3-mile strip of town and see the whole town.
Thank you. Anyone else wish to make a comment? Okay, we'll bring it back to Ann then.
Well, I think Bob said it as well as I could, that the whole thing is, you have to have a base, a core from which to start. And this is destination development, not a total economic development package, which would include factories or shopping centers and that sort of thing. But it's starting from the core in the center of town, which is where visitors come and want to be. But it expands out throughout the town and the county, and even past the county, because visitors, from what we are told over and over again, don't care about boundaries. They don't care where the Angels Camp city boundary is. They come for an experience, and they come for the destination. And the whole idea of doing the mountain sports is, it is something that we have here with oars, with cavern tours, with Glory Hill Sports, with a number of other businesses that are already here, that it makes a logical extension of the work that we have, and it's just aggregating it and selling it that way. And they do address in here quite frequently the fact that our history, we have such a solid history as a gold mining town, the look and everything, that's the character, that's the backdrop of the reason why people would come here to see Angels Camp. And the frogs, of course, are a major part, and they are part of Calaveras County. But as they say, that one, and we all know this, that 3 days a year to have a frog jump does not make a major destination, only during those 3 days in that respect. So all of it is backed up. I don't know if there's any other that I guess.
Any comments up here? No. Your decision.
Just one, and during the development and marketing plan, as you develop it, we're not gonna lose sight of the frog and the goat.
No,
No, I don't think so.
no, we would be very foolish to do that.
No, I think so too.
Yes, but what we're going to do is enhance it.
I just, about 8 years ago, I visited New Zealand. Queenstown, Arrowtown are two small communities that almost merged together. They're almost identical to, if you were to merge them into a much smaller community, you'd have Angels Camp, including the recreational sports, their own gold rush history. They're able to blend those, I think, very effectively. And I see that as having the luxury of having a dual brand, if you wish, I think is very important. And I think it's important also to recognize that this plan, as articulated by Destination, says, and I'm just going to quote 2 paragraphs because I think it helps, and I'll trust that Brooks says it as well as it can be said. We always state that cities often facilitate the development of the plan, as you did, but they do not take the lead in its implementation. Why? Because elected officials are elected to be all things to all people. But brands are about being known for something specific. We don't want politics or the group hug mentality to water down or genericize the brand. We'd like the core group of people, our steering committee to this point, to come up with 13 members of the brand leadership team and have the mayor appoint this group. When the city adopts a plan, it then assigns the task of implementing the plan to the BLT, the brand leadership team. This way the business community is taking the lead. This is, capital letters, very important to success. So I think what we've heard is actually exactly what the plan calls for. This is the city's ability to get the grant money to launch. Now it's time to step back, let the business community take that action plan and move forward.
Other comments?
I'm glad he brought that up because that was the original idea. The city got it going and we just stepped out of it. Stepped back.
Exactly. Now where it's up to
Send money.
the motion part, or if you're gonna do that.
I'll make a motion that we adopt the branding and development marketing action plan as amended by the branding leadership meeting, BLT. Yeah, yes, as amended by.
I'll second that.
Okay. I have a motion by Councilman Seaton and a second by Councilman Lynch to adopt the branding, development, and marketing action plans with the recommended changes, which has been designated by the brand leadership team. Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? Carries 5-0. The B part of this, the mayor shall designate the brand leadership team as group charged with implementing the plan. And I shall designate the brand leadership team and as a group charged with the implementing plan. And if you are interested in what group that is, Ann has this list and you can look at it. And thank you very much, Ann.
Thank you.
Yes.
Have all the persons on this list agreed to serve?
Yes, they have. Yes, they have. Do you want me to read them for the public record? Or-
I think we'll just put this
Okay.
on the public record.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, we'll move on to, number 6, which is, consideration of request from the city's landscape and lighting district, the LLD committee for the city council to submit questions related to the LLD to the city attorney for a formal legal opinion, And, we're gonna have Gary Carletto, chair of the LLD. We'll take about a 5-second break until they get out the door.
Gary Carletto, Chair of the LLD Committee. Mr. Mayor, council members, this comes to you in your agenda through about a 3-month process of questions that came up in the LLD meeting numerous times regarding roadways, taxes, costs of roadways, maintenance, similar things all relating to that and how it affected the LLD. It came up enough times where we decided finally to go ahead and form a little subcommittee within the LLD to address these questions, and the subcommittee was made up by 2 of the residents who were very concerned about it. One of the resident members of the LLD committee, the city administrator, and myself as chair. From that, and I'm condensing what went over about a 3-month period of time, came up with 4 questions that we felt needed to be addressed. And those 4 questions are reduced down to the 2 that you have in front of you. The first one is it legal to supplement the LLD with general fund dollars or any other available city funds? And the second question is, what exposure to litigation does the LLD have relating to the roads in Greenhorn Creek? And what has been requested is that the city council take those 2 questions and if they feel correct, to have the city attorney address them and get back to the LLD committee. The one thing that the LLD committee would like to have also is if you decide to do that, we would greatly appreciate the city attorney providing us with a order of magnitude estimate in regards to the professional services fee, order of magnitude being plus or minus 20%. so we know, have some idea of which way they're going.
Okay, bring it up here, and what are your comments and what is your pleasure? You're on the committee, right?
I strongly support sending these, questions to the attorney, get answer the legal aspect, and bring them back.
I'm on that committee too, I agree.
Jack, you have any comment?
No, I don't.
Lee, you have any comment?
Sounds like a good idea.
I have only one question. Who pays for his service? City or LLD? That's been discussed.
That's why I was asking what the order of magnitude professional fees are.
Oh, well, I wanna make sure whatever happens, we know what's happening. Instead of it being
That's the reason for having that.
it being a mystery.
Yes.
Never hire a consultant without knowing what the fees are.
I agree with you, Gary. I agree with you. So we are going to get that first, or
That makes sense.
before we approve this?
Yeah, if you have the city attorney have the time to look at the questions, evaluate what he thinks is going to be involved with it.
We're gonna do that right now? Or are we gonna have you do that and then come back?
Go ahead and do that and then come back to our November meeting with an idea.
We'll
of what it
continue
is.
this until next city council meeting, I would assume, and he can come back with the.
Probably a November meeting, or the next.
Well, it can be the next one, or we can continue it. We'll continue.
No, for your benefit, and as the city attorney knows, the original set of questions was much more involved than this. This has come down to the two final questions, so it's somewhat simplified.
Okay, we'll continue this until the next city council meeting, and have that information, and then we can make a decision on that.
Okay.
Okay,
Thank you.
all right, thank you, Gary. We'll move on to, number 7, which is public hearing, consideration of the CDBG program income reuse fund to be used to purchase wastewater equipment. This is to approve resolution number 08-36, the resolution approving the allocation of CDBG program income reuse funds for sewer camera. And instructions for the CDBG public hearing. This public hearing is open at this time. If you have any comments, please come to the podium and write your name and address on the sign-in sheet. You are also invited to send written comments to City Hall. So with that, any public comments? Good night.
Good night.
No public comment?
So we talk about what it is we're looking at.
Probably good idea. Excuse me for jumping the gun.
Okay, back in October of 2006, the city applied for a CDBG grant for a sewer system study. This study was one way that we're trying to mitigate the additional cost associated with the sanitary sewer master plan mandate that was passed by the Regional Water Quality Control Board. At that time, we knew that it was in the works, but had not yet been approved. And as I talk about the new mandate, the unfunded mandate by the State Water Quality Control Board. And as we went through the process, we received the funding and so forth, so we now have the money to do the sanitary sewer study. As part of that, it involves TVing the lines to determine the condition of the lines, location of lines. We have 8 missing manholes that we're unable to find. It also will help to unravel some of the mysteries associated with the inflow and infiltration issues that we've had that have plagued the system. And as you're aware, the city has done smoke and dye testing of all the areas of the city, trying to locate illegal connections and various problems associated with inflow and infiltration. So as we went along through this process, then in March of this past year, you may recall that the city was putting in for a housing grant And as part of that housing grant, we were able to have 10% of the money that we could use for a purpose that would be of general public benefit, and also benefit low-income housing. So that was going to purchase the camera. That did not materialize. So what we have right now is a sewer study that's ongoing, a need for TV, and a requirement that's been imposed by the state that we monitor all of our sewer lines. Well, actually, the first thing is to actually locate them, determine all the conditions. This is all part of the requirements of the state. So if we purchase this TV using reuse monies, which would save us from having to purchase that out of the wastewater account. So that's really what we're trying to drive at, is trying to minimize impacts on the wastewater account, try to maximize opportunities to get money from anywhere else that we can do, that we can get the money legally. And so this is an opportunity for us to continue with that sewer study, get a camera that is much needed and required, and ultimately saves us a piece of the requirements that are associated with the State Water Quality Control Board and their new mandate that was passed in the spring of last year, that requires the sanitary sewer overflows and sanitary sewer master plans to be created, which, as you know, is something that is not included in the wastewater rates. And we had estimated that it would cost up to $17, and I believe it was 12 cents or something like that, 13 cents per user per month to implement those new requirements the state passed this spring last year. So this will help, again, bring down some of that cost, so we won't have as much cost. And we've been working on other things that have been chipping away at some of those costs, so we don't have to put it on the backs of the ratepayers through the wastewater account.
Yes. Any public comment? We do not have any public comment, so we'll close the hearing. And bring it back up here.
How much is that camera worth, Tim?
It's almost $50,000. Yeah, it is very expensive. It costs about $2,000 a day if you have a consultant come in with their cameras and TV lines. And I will tell you that we wind up TV lines quite frequently, because when we have laterals and so forth, trying to determine where lines are going, where blockages are, part of our,
It's worth talking.
trust me, it'll be used a lot.
Okay, at the last city council meeting, we used some, reused money to, for our funding in, $5,000 something we used, reused money. The question I'm getting at, is there enough money in that reused money to purchase this one, this camera?
Yes, there is, in your packet, or I guess to make it into the packet, the balance is, if I recall, it's well in excess of $100,000.
Okay, so we got the money in there, okay. I verify.
It's $134,000.
What's that?
$134,000.
Oh, okay.
Good.
Just
Right.
over that.
We don't have.
Camera's 48 grand
Yeah.
I'm all in favor.
And change.
and change.
Did you go through, the infrastructure committee, did you look at this?
I haven't looked at the camera.
I'd like to ask, are there other groups, you know, in our region that probably would also have an interest in this? I think about CCWD, Murphy's. I mean, it would be nice if we could get a buy-in from other people that are gonna, I'm sure they're under the same mandate that we are. You know, that we could share the expense and start a something, or the other option that I would think of, are these devices rentable? So
Yeah,
you could rent them.
I think
And
we
I don't
bought-
know anything about this, but I just wondered whether you guys had talked
No,
about
we didn't go through
infrastructure.
committee that I know of.
Well, there are several things there. First of all is the SSMP. We
Okay.
talked about the
Yeah.
implications of that.
Right.
We talked about the I&I. I'm sorry, this is all alphabet soup.
Right.
But the.
Infiltration and inflow.
You're right.
Yeah.
We have a local, urgent need and a mandated need.
Right.
The thing I was building exactly where I think you were going, Jack, is an interagency program that we've talked a lot about trying to consolidate purchasing and leveraging
Right.
where we get expensive equipment. I believe that we really should, review this proposal with all of and the good news is they're all gonna be, or at least they're supposed to be at the meeting on Thursday.
Yes.
Is a very timely thing to bring this
Yeah.
to the table and say, this is something we have authorized purchasing, we'd certainly like to make the greatest possible leverage. Maybe we could get several operators, people who drive the camera, cross-trained, so that it would be.
That would be exactly.
This would be something that would, that we bring to the table. I think we have to go forward with it, but there's no reason not to leverage it as far and as wide as we can. Regionally, so
What do you think, Jim?
that would be my approach.
Is it going to slow the process down to get that camera in properly?
Yes, yes, and
We want to own it
we,
ourselves.
we, we,
I think we do.
yeah, we thought about this in the past, and there has been past, opportunities where we, there's been sharing of cameras, and cameras returned broken, parts missing, and
That's why I
things like
say
that.
cross-trained.
And also, under this program, if we want to pursue this, I would go ahead and suggest that we purchase it out of our wastewater, enterprise fund, because the reuse funds are set up so that they benefit just the local jurisdiction, so that when we have the reuse monies, it's for there's actually two different, areas set aside in the county. There's the City of Angels and an incorporated area where CDBG funding, which, as you know, anytime you have federal funds, there's lots of strings attached to it and so forth, that those requirements require that this be of benefit to the residents, that where the funds have been targeted from the feds to the state to us through housing and community development. To enter into an arrangement where this would actually become of benefit to a larger area, I think could cause some pretty serious problems as far as when the state does their audits and there was checkup on the use of the funds and so forth. That could really be a complication. I could check with Terry to see if there'd be some way to work around that, but it's, the cleanest way to do it would be go ahead and just purchase it out of the wastewater, capital funds.
Well,
Based on
wait, can I just, I
Yeah.
want to keep on one thought.
Yeah.
We've used community block grant money for our fire department. We certainly respond out of the city for our fire department. The county is itself, qualifies for the CBD, community block grant funding. I understand that there are risks whenever you share, but sometimes I believe you've gotta be willing to put the foot forward, if you wish. This is a very expensive piece of equipment. It requires a certain level of skill. It's like any good piece of equipment, it requires a maintenance program and so forth. I just think that we wanna get the absolute maximum return, and it doesn't necessarily mean that we have to sell it or extract a fee as much as maybe there's a reciprocity that's involved. Because other agencies are making other capital investments, and I'm just saying, we've gotta move beyond, dealing with that. All of these issues, water and wastewater, are so integral to the entire county that we need to be able to deal with every opportunity to move forward. And that's my thing. I'd like to see us try with our eyes wide open, not do this blindly, or what was Reagan said, trust but verify. I mean, there have to be standards for people to use it, they have to be certified by the manufacturer to operate it. But I think, I would like to see us move forward with this, with not conditional on there being interagency use, but as an expansion on our investment.
I'd like to respond. No, I think, given the fact that there is this meeting coming up, how about approaching it from the standpoint of discussing it as an overall, all these agencies with sewer lines have this as an issue? And propose that this group purchase it, and that it be under someone's ownership and repair and supervision to have qualified people taken from this group. And in fact, the need may be such that you might have to be purchasing 2 units. But anyway, and in that way, you could get funding from several groups, and it would be under control of a group, rather than the city having to foot the whole thing and just holding on to it ourselves. There may be an interest on the part of the other groups to participate in the purchase of it, and I don't know. I think that's worth exploring. See what the reaction is of the other participants, because we're all faced with the same thing.
Yes, right. Is there a time frame in relation to the city's grant that we got for the sewer line? And in other words, if it goes through your process, which is okay, if it, I'm seeing it taking months to do it, or, but